Welcome to the Bridge of Two podcast. Man, it's good to be back.
It is good to be back. It's been a while.
It's been a little bit.
Like, what? Almost a month.
Yeah, I'm scared to look. I mean, it was definitely November the last time we aired something. Was it like right before y'all came down, maybe?
Maybe. But that would have been early November.
Maybe that Monday. Might be.
Anyway, it's good to be back, though.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, okay. We released our last episode on November 8th.
Yeah.
So it's been even
There we
longer
go.
for us, because we record a few days prior to releasing, I'm pretty sure.
Right.
Man.
Yep. Gotta.
Oh, man. Yeah, it got real busy for me after we got back from visiting Florida, so.
Yeah. It's all good. I mean, we could have tried to like throw something together, but I mean,
Yeah.
it would have been probably not great experience all around, you know.
We want the best quality podcasts
Exactly.
for our listeners.
Exactly. It's nice that where we didn't like do a break in the middle, you know,
Yeah.
of the Rings of Power watch.
That's kind of what I was thinking too. Well, not even like in the middle. This is like, it would have been a weird break
This is
for
the
it.
end.
Yeah.
Right.
But we're good now. Everything's kind of caught up. I'm finally settled, and so finally was able to finish Rings of Power. So I'm excited to talk about the last two episodes.
Yeah, I rewatched over the last couple days. So what's new with you, sci-fi and fantasy person?
Oh, quite a bit actually.
Yeah.
Most importantly, today, Wind and Truth Day. We are recording on the day that Wind and Truth Book 5 of Stormlight Archive released. Y'all can't see it because we're not recording video, but Allred is currently holding up the book. The beautiful, beautiful hardcover.
This is my background too on my phone right now.
Is it? That's awesome.
Yeah.
Mine's just my child. Lame.
I'm ready to get hurt again.
Oh,
As your
dude.
child.
I'm not ready. I am excited to read it. Unfortunately, I am not reading it yet because I have finally got my wife invested into reading the Stormlight Archive books, listening to them, and so I've been re-listening to it with her, and we're only on Oathbringer. We're like getting near 3/4 of the way through Oathbringer. Instead of just
That's good.
Yeah, instead of just skipping it and me going into reading it, I figured I'd finish the reread with her and then read through Wind and Truth with her. I feel like it'd be a really fun experience to have with my wife. So, and she's nodding her head yes. She's in the room right now. So I finally won her over.
You won the long battle.
Oh, it's been many years. Considering that I first read The Way of Kings probably about a month into our dating. She went and visited. She went to go on a trip to Europe, and the week that she was gone, I read the entirety of Way of Kings.
She lost you to Brandon Sanderson.
Mm-hmm. And it's been no going back from there. I literally spent the next year not reading anything but Brandon Sanderson.
Nice.
It is honestly kind of insane how much that man has gripped my life with his books.
Well, I think, you know, he's becoming a living kind of phenomenon, you know, a living Tolkien or whatever. So it's kind of hard. It seems like a lot of people are getting swept up. I mean, not long after you got me reading it, we got a whole bunch of other people, mainly you, but like a whole bunch of other people in our circle to read it. You know, I was just at a family's house that their entire family's read it. Even their grandfather
Oh, that's awesome.
is caught up and is going to start reading Wind and Truth.
That's awesome. Yeah, my dad's caught up. He'll probably read Wind and Truth here soon too.
Oh, he is caught up?
He is caught up. He read he really liked Rhythm of War actually, which tracks the whole sciencey aspect of it. I feel like he'd really enjoy. I'll be really curious to see what he thinks of Wind and Truth, especially when I get to it as well. Yeah, other than that, just doing my reread still of like I said, we're in the middle of Oathbringer right now. the team, Adolin, Shallan, and Kaladin are in Kholinar. Mm-hmm.
I think that's where it really picks up.
Yes. Oh yeah. I think Steph is about to finally. I'm a couple of chapters ahead of Steph. I should think she's finally about to meet High Marshal Azure.
Oh, that's fun.
That's good. I had a moment a couple days ago where I tried to explain a little bit more of the Cosmere to her, and it completely lost her. She like almost gave up completely reading the books. I was like, okay, hold on. Let me just stop. None of this is important. I'm just going a little bit overboard. Just read the books and enjoy them.
You almost broke her.
So, but yeah, so the reread's been a lot of fun. I've been really enjoying that. I've been enjoying having Steph read them and ask me her questions and getting her perspective on things, and it's just been a lot of fun. It reminds me when I first read the books, and that excitement, you know. So I'm excited to get into Rhythm of War because it'll be my first reread of that. Because I think all the rest of them, this is my third time reading them. This will be my second time for Rhythm of War. So, and then
nice.
Just to dive headfirst into Wind and Truth. But unfortunately, I'm gonna wait. And this time, you have to wait to say anything to me. Like I had to wait with Lost Metal with you. Although I'm not gonna wait as long as you did.
Yeah, I think I don't remember why it took me so long.
I think you were just busy.
Was I just okay?
I think you were writing a lot.
That's right.
Oh, I think
I used to do that more.
Was that? I think that was when you were in the middle of
Probably.
Whatchamacallit?
Mithril. Probably my Mithril writing. Yeah.
And so you literally just didn't have the time.
I didn't have the mental space. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's probably the most submersed I've ever been in my own writing.
Yeah. Other than that though, just been playing some games. I started up a Baldur's Gate 3 campaign or game, whatever they're called in that game. Started up a couple days ago, and I kind of just hop on whenever I get the opportunity to play a little bit. That game is truly so fun.
Yeah.
Like I'm really realizing how much. It's my first time playing through fully. I played a little bit back in right when early access first launched for that game. I played through the entirety of what they had out, which I think was almost the entirety first act, but I think it's completely changed since then. But I really enjoyed it then, and I'm just the amount of freedom you have in the game, to do different things, to talk to people, to even in combat, the different things you do in combat, or even the tutorial area. If you do a specific thing and actually try to kill a specific bad guy, you can get this really strong sword to start off the game. Yeah, it's just fun. It's a fun game. I think it'd be fun to play with you and Caleb.
Yeah.
At one point.
Yeah, I'd be open to that.
Have you heard of Marvel Rivals yet?
I have heard of it. And it's free to play, I think, right?
It is, and that dropped yesterday.
Yeah.
So we've been playing that. My brother and Curtis, my cousin. We've been playing that because we've been playing Overwatch together.
Oh, okay.
Because they're super.
It's like Overwatch.
Yeah, they're super into Overwatch, and so I've been playing with them just because I have it and been playing with them, and that's been fun. But we all have been waiting for this to come out, and yeah, it dropped, and we all three are absolutely loving it. A lot of fun. It's just a really fun game to play. It's like Overwatch, but obviously with Marvel characters and slightly different with its own little flair. But it's really, really fun.
What character do you like?
I haven't really found one yet that I like fully. The Winter Soldier was fun. I played him a little bit. Wolverine is really fun to play.
Yeah, I feel like that I would go for Wolverine first too.
He's definitely just a little bit different of a character that I play, because I usually play more of a longer range hit scan character, whereas Wolverine is definitely get in your face, jump in, and attack with claws type of character.
Right.
So he's fun.
Like a monk with claws.
Pretty much. And then Doctor Strange is fun to play. Although he's weird because they made him a tank in the game.
Huh.
Which is just seems odd for his character. But
yeah, I think he'd be more ranged.
And he is very, like, he's a ranged character, but they just made him a tank. I don't know, it's interesting, but
Yeah.
he's fun. Been playing with him a little bit too. So, but yeah, that's been a lot of fun.
I'll
But
have to check it out.
you should download it, play for free. We can play a couple games. I'm sure we can get Caleb to play.
Yeah.
Get my brother on.
Yeah, I've heard some good things about it for sure. And I mean that you got that draw from the known IP,
Mhm.
you know. So
The art style is very, very pleasant to look at too. Definitely got
I'll
that
probably download
like
it.
kind of comic booky style. A little bit like a grittier. I don't know. I like it.
Is it first person?
No, it's third person,
Okay.
which is interesting as well.
Yeah.
Which it threw me off a little bit because obviously Overwatch is first person, but I
Right.
think it being third person fits a lot more, and I also like that more because like I like being able to see my character, especially if you get like skins and stuff. Like the different
Right.
costumes, it's nice to be able to see. Like Overwatch is just like you have all these different skins, but you don't ever see your character, so it doesn't matter.
Right.
But that's been me. That's what I've been up to. What you been up to?
Well, I've been reading Wind and Truth. So I've been reading the sample chapters. They've been dropping every Monday on Tor's website, the publisher. They drop like at least 2 chapters. They're, the last ones were this past Monday, and they were interludes. But so I'm on. I think I just finished day 2, and
Dang,
I've
they
read 4
released-
interludes.
They released that many.
They released 34 chapters
That's
and
wild.
4 interludes.
That's wild.
Yeah, it is pretty wild. I was reading it and I was just like, I can't believe it's like, it really is, things have, yeah, I don't want to say anything. Yeah, I won't say
Don't
anything.
you dare spoil anything.
I don't want to say anything, yeah, about the pacing or whatever, but I'm enjoying it a lot, definitely. So,
It's interesting that he broke everything up into days. Like, it's not like parts now.
Yeah.
It's like day 1, day 2.
yeah, I feel like the whole book's going to be a Sanderlanche.
Like, I didn't know that until literally till Steph opened up the book and looked at the table of contents.
It
It
said
was like,
day
oh,
1.
this is day 1, day 2. And I was like, oh, that's crazy. Which means,
Yeah,
yeah, you're right.
instead of part 1.
Great. So you're right. This whole book probably is just going to be Sanderlanche because it's just 10 days.
Yeah, it's just going to be, the whole thing's downhill, but it just gets steeper and steeper.
It's like a season of 24.
Right. Instead of hours, it's just it's days, 10 days. Yeah.
I mean, I guess this has to be the Sanderlanche. It's the end of the 5-book, the first part technically. So this whole book has to be Sanderlanche.
Right, exactly. Yeah. But I also, you kind of gave me a little bit of pause, like whenever you were talking about finishing your reread. I was like, maybe I should finish my reread too. Maybe I can wait. And then re-listening to the prologue over where I was just at, I was like,
Nope,
I
can't
want
do
to
it.
keep going. I need to keep going.
How far? You're still pretty far back, aren't you? In your reread, where are you at?
Yeah, I'm on Oath. I was like, I had just started Oathbringer.
Okay.
I was only a few chapters into Oathbringer, and then I started reading the sample chapters.
Yeah.
of Wind and
See, that's
Truth.
where you messed up, is you read the sample chapters.
Yeah, it is.
You're too impatient.
I'm also I started a read through of Warbreaker. First
Oh,
read through
yes.
Warbreaker. Well, it's actually been listening to the audiobook of it.
How far
'cause
into
I've
that
had
are you?
it. I think I'm only like 4 or 5 chapters in. It feels like I'm deeper into it. I feel like the chapters are long.
They are long, and I think things get started pretty quickly in that book. It's one of because it's not. It's one
Yeah.
of his shorter books.
Okay. Yeah, it's so I'm not like a whole bunch of chapters into it, but it feels like I'm on chapter 5 and I'm 5 hours in. Like
Oh wow.
like it feels like that's how long the chapters are. They're like 30-40 minutes.
Yeah.
Every single chapter. But I'm really enjoying it. It's very interesting world building and the characters and the drama of it's very interesting with the whole, thing with Hallandren and the people over and where they're at are like, under threat of war and yeah, it's super interesting. So yeah, I'm looking forward to getting through that and
The magic system.
seeing where that's going.
The magic system is pretty cool in it too, in my opinion.
It is cool. Yeah, I like it. Light Song is probably the one I'm the most interested in right now because he's like remembering. He has these dreams and he remembers like a ship and I forget what else. He remembers like I think a woman or something.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, so I'm just like, there's clearly a mystery there about what actually happens to become returned and what was his actual like life and how did he go out, because he thinks he's been told that he went out very heroically and stuff, and so I just know there's like an interesting reveal coming there.
Yeah.
And I know that he's going to end up being he just seems like the kind of character who's going to, because he's starting off so conceited and so kind of not caring about things, I really can see him his character arc being like this character that becomes more like cares about the people of what's the people of the other city called?
It's been a minute since I've read it, so
Yeah. Anyway, the actual, don't want to spoil things, but yeah, there's a city. But yeah, but he's also interested. I think he's kind of interested in the Queen, and so I'm wondering if there's going to be like a love thing there. Anyway, so yeah, I need to listen to that more. I've been listening to it when I mow, so I'm not super far, but
especially
I'm
this time of
enjoying
year.
yeah.
And you've already seen Vasher.
Oh yeah, and the prologue, which is really fun.
Get to
Prologue.
see a little bit more of Vasher / Zahel in action.
Yeah.
On his home planet.
Yeah, and like super interesting, like him talking to the returned that was being tortured, and how, him talking about like the breaths and the effect it has on him. Like all of a sudden, like, oh yeah, this is what it's like. It's whenever you have this much breath and stuff. It's like very interesting to hear how they describe all that stuff. So, and like the magic, if something resembles a human shape, it's easier to
awaken.
Yeah, that's very interesting. So, yep. So I'm enjoying that. It really does feel though like, doesn't feel like an early Brandon Sanderson book. It feels like on par with the rest of his stuff.
I mean, even his early stuff is just phenomenal.
That's true. I think Elantris like is kind of agreed to be like the weakest, but
yes,
it's still really good.
I plan on giving that one a reread here soon because that was one of the first ones I read after Stormlight.
Yeah, and I think there's a sequel coming. He's going to be doing a sequel to Elantris. Maybe before the next Stormlight?
Probably.
Sure.
Probably.
But yeah, so that's been good. I have been writing more. I think I probably was already mentioned the schedule I was trying to do with writing the last time we recorded, and I've been able to keep up with that pretty well. And it's definitely helped me with writing. I'm getting very close to being done with the book draft that I've been working on. And
Nice.
we've been talking more about the graphic novel that we had started talking about last year. And really actually did a fair bit of world building on more than I remembered. Because we were like talking about it and we were like, maybe we need to just like start over with a new idea. And then we started. I was like looking at what we had already done, and I was like, actually, I like this a lot.
I like what we had come up with initially, what we've kind of like built it into now at this point.
Yeah,
I think I had mentioned to
like,
you last time we talked about it that like it's really been able to get my imagination flowing as far as like designs and like being able to draw things out,
Yeah. Yeah, starting to do like the screenplay format writing, I really like that
Good.
because it feels like it gets my imagination going. Even in some ways, it gets it going easier than when I'm writing normal prose, because it's like you have to pay more attention to punctuation and grammar and stuff. Whereas this is just describe what's happening and do good dialogue, So I've enjoyed that. It almost feels like outlining,
Yeah. Yeah. That's good. I'm glad you're having fun with that.
Yeah, actually, like I'm itching to get back to it because I'm really, I think I'm pretty close with finishing the prologue.
Nice. Yeah, I'm still working on a lot of designs, creature designs. I was sick like a week ago, pretty bad. And since then I've kind of had a hard time like getting back down to like sitting down, and the work's been just extremely busy. I've been able to do it at work, but I have finally past couple of days like pulled out the iPad, started drawing again, getting some designs down. So I think I'm really gonna start trying to work on like some of the main character designs next. I want to get those down.
I'm excited to see that.
What are you laughing at over there?
I'm just happy to hear that because I'm excited to see like I said, just like the writing, what I've been writing for that. I'm like feel pretty good about it, and to the thought of like you working on character designs for it just makes me happy.
Yeah, I'm really excited for all of it.
So
I'm excited to start working on, eventually getting into a rough draft of what you've written down.
yeah. Yep, definitely. Sorry, you just saw me getting giddy there a second ago.
Yeah, I love it. That's awesome. I love it.
That's the main thing, I think. Oh, my wife's into Minecraft now.
Really?
Yeah, the kids.
Did the kids drag her into it?
The kids got her to try it, and I don't know what I was doing. I was up here writing or something, and the next thing I know, I come downstairs and she is full on building things and creating things. And then that evening, she was like, I think when the kids are down, I want to play Minecraft. Can you hook it up to the TV in our bedroom? She proceeded to make the most like beautiful, intricate, and detailed like house and like backyard with like fenced in and like a pen for her horses and all this stuff, and it was just like amazing.
Hold up, I need to get Minecraft on the Switch now, and Steph and her can play together.
Yeah, maybe that'll get her to want to do Nintendo Online.
That's amazing.
Because I think she'd probably love that.
See, this is the start.
It is.
This is the start. You get her with Minecraft, and then you start branching into other things, and then eventually it branches into her reading Stormlight Archive.
Yeah, exactly. It's like I need like a Teravangian diagram of like all the pieces that need to move.
Yeah, you'll look back and see that right corner dresser drawer. It all started with Minecraft.
I love those epigraphs. All the obscure places.
Extremely obscure places
where it's written down.
Oh, that's awesome. Good. That's awesome. I'm glad to hear that.
Yeah, so that's fun. I'm not really surprised because, in a certain way, because she loves, like, she has all these little apps and games on her phone for, like, coloring.
Mm-hmm.
And it's kind of the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
It's just designing.
It's right up her alley.
Yeah, so, yep. So that's fun. But, yeah, that's pretty much it for me. I guess War of the Rohirrim's about to come out.
Ooh, yes. That's going to be in theaters for more than a day, right?
Oh yeah, I think it's gonna be like a full release.
So then we need to set at one point set some time aside, you and I, to go see it in theaters when I'm down there.
Yeah,
get Caleb.
That'd be great.
Have Caleb come as well.
Just
not your son Caleb. The other Caleb.
I was like letting the joke sink in, and then I was like, no, that's not what he means.
Speaking of Lord of the Rings.
Oh yeah.
What do you say we get into our topic today?
Can I say one more thing?
Absolutely, you can.
I just remembered. I just showed my kids Fellowship of the Ring. Jack and Ellie, my oldest kids,
mm-hmm.
Fellowship of the Ring, and it was just a very fun experience.
Oh yeah.
It's like
yeah.
one of those things that you, when you think about becoming a parent, you're like, someday I'll get to do this with my kids, you know. And it went, you know, they really loved it, and my son Jack's commentary was so funny. He basically the whole time especially the beginning, the first half of the movie, he's like, just throw the ring away, just throw it in the trash. Like anytime the ring wraiths are about to get, it's like, just throw it in the trash, just throw it away. Like, and then whenever they're on the weather top and like the ring wraiths are, he's like, throw it off the cliff, you know, like zero concern about like the
world,
implications
yeah.
of just throwing the yeah. It's just like, why don't you just preserve your own life, basically?
That's funny.
And it was just cracking me up.
Oh yeah. Oh man,
But,
we saw a clip today of. Oh no, it was a clip that you sent,
Oh yeah.
and it was going through, you know, going at the end, going through all the, like a bunch of different scenes from the movies, and I just turned stuff. I was like, well, crap. Now I gotta do a rewatch of all these movies. I still we'll see clips pop up on Instagram of like the Boromir death scene, and I'm just like, oh crap, now I'm crying.
Now I have to watch 8 hours of this.
Yep, pretty much.
Yeah. But yeah,
That's
let's
awesome.
get into.
I'm glad your kids
Yeah,
liked it. I'm really
it's
glad
fun.
your kids liked it.
Yes. Whew.
And I feel like number 1 is one of the scarier ones, isn't it? The first one. Well, like 3's pretty bad.
I think you've got a mixture. Like the first one's maybe more scary, but then the next two are more,
Graphic.
maybe a little more violent. Yeah, more graphic,
Yeah.
violent. So, but, they'll be fine.
I was talking with Steph about that because I was trying to think about how old I was when I watched Lord of the Rings, and I'm pretty sure I was. How old's Ellie? 8.
She's 8, about to be 9.
Yes, I think I was about her age when I first saw Lord of the Rings. Because I was in Texas,
Sure.
and I'm pretty sure it was like 7 or 8, maybe even younger,
you-
6 or 7.
You turned out fine, so.
Eh. Debatable, but yeah. I mean, I'm paramedics. I didn't turn out that great. I made poor life decisions. What do you say?
Well,
What do you say we
it's-
get into
yeah.
it? Get into Rings of Power.
Let's do it. So,
The final 2 episodes of the season.
yeah, at the end of the episode 6, the siege was starting, and Sauron was conducting the orchestra. He was raising his arms, like just basking in everything he had drawn together. So that's where we pick up in episode 7.
I was just gonna say I was not a huge fan of episode 7.
Okay. Without getting too deep into the different things, just in general, what areas of it?
Pacing was very weird. The pacing was just very strange to me. And there were just some scenes that I felt were either unnecessary or didn't make sense.
Yeah.
And like some definitely very strong like plot armor type of stuff going on. That was just a little bit too much, in my opinion. Which I'll explain as we get deeper into it.
Okay. All right.
Steph had a different opinion. Steph really liked both episodes. I really liked the season finale. Like the season finale fixed like helped like whatever issues I had with the 7th episode. The season finale fixed it. Like
Kinda helped.
Yeah, I was like, all right, I'm on board.
I think there was so much that was like episode 7. There was so much unsatisfying. And we could talk about those things, and we will talk about those things. But yeah, I just think because it left off in so many different things that were unresolved and were negatively, like a negative, very low ending. I feel like that definitely getting to see those resolutions in episode 8. I could see how that would help somewhat. But yeah, let's get into it. So, I mean, I know the episode starts off with, coming back to Celebrimbor. He's in his, vision that Sauron has crafted, he's literally outside drinking like tea, his morning tea.
Mm-hmm.
It's just paradise. So we can see that he's still in that mode, and he's working hard on the rings, using the mithril,
Mm-hmm.
air quotes. I can't remember if there's anything too important in that scene besides just kind of bringing us back to the situation he's in, trying to make the 9 rings and being manipulated.
I think you get the first introduction of like he sees the mouse.
Does he? Yeah, he sees the mouse. Okay.
Because
Does he notice something that looks off about the hammer too?
yeah,
Is that
he
that
he
scene?
has a jewel missing in his hammer. So like
Okay.
yeah, throughout this episode you have Celebrimbor who is obviously still working on the 9 rings, but it almost seems like he's starting to catch on that something is off. I think it starts initially with the hammer. He's missing a gem in his hammer,
Right.
and then he notices a mouse, and then he starts paying attention because he sees the mouse again.
Mm-hmm.
And then he does a couple different tests, and basically it's just like, oh crap, I'm in some form of time has stopped, basically, or at least that's
Right.
his assumption.
Yeah. Yeah, and every time he thinks he sees something off, Anatar walks in,
Mm-hmm.
and his attention is back on him, and so then like whatever it is kind of goes away, and because the siege is happening, and obviously like Sauron, Anatar, wants that to happen, but he also, there's a little bit of a time crunch too. He's like, are the rings done yet?
Yeah, he's very much the rings are they done yet? They need to be done. Are they done yet?
But the main tension of the episode obviously is there's the reality of the situation is the city is under siege, barrage of
Trebuchets.
trebuchets, and they're just kind of running around with like chickens with their heads cut off. Yeah, so it starts off just kind of, you get to see just how badly the defense of the city is going.
Yes.
Yeah,
you're really seeing the destruction of the city and how much power the orcs are bringing forth until they eventually stop.
right.
And you're right. Like the main focus of this episode definitely is this siege on the city.
Yeah.
And this is part. So this scene coming up that I'm about to bring up is one of the scenes that kind of threw me off with the episode. It just
Okay.
felt weird to me. It felt odd to me. Is they stop shooting the catapults, trebuchets, and they turn them towards the mountain, whatever. And and so then they're like, the elves are like, oh, bring them down, stop them. Someone, I don't remember who, but someone kind of catches on as to what's happening. And they're gonna.
I think Sauron
You
does.
do think it was Sauron? Oh yeah,
Sauron.
okay. And he's like, take him out.
Sauron's like they're, I forget what he's saying. Oh, he says prepare for ground assault. He's like,
Yes.
Sauron looks, and he's like, prepare for ground assault, and they're like, what? And then the woman elf that he is stringing along, Merdania, she's like, they're damming the river,
Yeah, and so they shoot their catapults at this like mountain area and break off the rock, and the rock falls into the river and creates a dam. And like,
Okay.
cool, I get it. That worked out a little too well, I feel, but also the river dried up so extraordinarily fast. It threw me
Yeah.
off. I was like, I don't think that's realistic at all. And it's a fantasy show. I'm trying not to. I'm trying not to
honestly don't
nitpick.
Yeah.
But like at the same time, I was just like, this. I get what they're going for. They want to do this ground assault, make it push us further along. But like at the same time, it's just like that was just one of those things that like it really pulled me out of the episode.
Oh, okay.
And I'm not trying, like I said, I'm not trying to be too critical or too nitpicky with things because it's fantasy and I
Yeah.
get it. But at the same time, it's just like, hey, come on, like. But then also the pacing was weird. It's just like how long has actually passed by since that happened? Has it been
Right.
Because the way the episode made it, it's been 5 minutes, and all of a sudden this river's completely dried up. It's like hold on. dried up enough to where now we're running in it, and it's not even that muddy,
Right. Yeah. Yeah. The thing is about sieges. I mean, they do normally last a long time. So I mean, it's not like that tactic couldn't work. Some version of it. I thought about with this, like, there's like historical accounts of armies like rerouting rivers and maybe damming rivers as well. And so I was like, oh, this kind of calls back to that. But it is like confusing about like how does the physics of that work? Like,
And I'm on board with it. I'm on board with it being a thing. I'm sure it's possible, but once again, just how and it's a TV show, and they only got this one episode to get this stuff done, and so they made things along. And I'm sure there's been more time happening, in the background, but it's just like
maybe.
the way the show was portraying it, it made it seem like they did.
It's like immediate.
Yeah, they dammed it, and it immediately dried up, and I'm like, oh, I don't think that's how that works.
No, I do think that there's an issue in general with the show with, not always doing a great job of giving us like cues of like how much time has passed,
Yeah.
how what's the scale of this, like is this really the size of the scale, like is it really this many people defending the city, like it seems like it's like the jewel of elvendom. It's like it's kind of hard to get the scale of this being this huge elven city with what you see.
Yeah.
I mean, even with I even have the similar thing, even though I do like the episode and a lot of the battle stuff in it, but I was looking really hard when I'm on my rewatch to remember like how many elves came from Linden.
It did not seem
Because
like
it
a
doesn't
lot.
it doesn't seem like a lot, but there was like a thought in my head is like, did they not have enough time to recall? Were they not able to recall the troops from Mordor, because they were sending troops to Mordor earlier in the season, and then they were like, oh no, we have to go to Region. It's like, so if they had, like, I don't know if there's like a missing scene where they say, well, all we've got is this, and we've got to make do, but there's like stuff like that where it's like, it just, it's like, how many elves actually got killed? How many elves am I supposed to think actually got killed? The cavalry charge looked pretty big. It seemed like a lot of cavalry.
You know what? Actually,
So
now that we're at the cavalry part real quick too, I'm gonna say that was another thing that bothered me. The cavalry charge of all these horses, and at the last second them stopping and it happening perfectly.
they're elves.
I know they're elves. I don't know. It's just another things to just like I knew, like, the thing is I watched it and I told Steph, I said they're gonna stop their horses right before, because Galadriel's gonna be in that cage.
Yeah.
And I just am like I don't know. It just like,
Well,
love the bad
maybe
taste
if
in my
they
mouth.
maybe if they had a few more shots that were dedicated to showing you, just like reminding you how disciplined elvish warriors are, or something like that, just showing them being so hyper disciplined that they would be able to just halt in a split second, essentially. But yeah, I mean, that to me, one thing I see with them doing that, like, I understand what was happening with the story, with you got Galadriel, and it's a little bit of a chess match thing happening, and it's also subversion of expectations, because you've got, here's the huge cavalry charge, they're gonna wipe them out, but they've got a piece to play here, with having Galadriel.
A little trick up their sleeve.
But at the same time, it's like, you're kind of, when you set up our expectations, and then like the expectation of, oh, awesome cavalry charge, you almost are shooting yourself in the foot. Like, if you want to do that, you almost need to do it differently. Don't do the cavalry charge, because everybody wants to see that cavalry charge,
Subverting
and then you just stop short.
Yeah, subverting expectations is great at certain times. Other times, though, I agree with like the cavalry charge. It's just not the time to do it. And also, just in a situation where, like, I mean, they've talked time and time again about how much they dislike the orcs and how vile these creatures are, and then like to just stop this cavalry run just because of one elf and because Elrond said to stop. I don't know. I get the whole discipline thing. I don't know. Just
Yeah, I think yeah, like once again, I just think they maybe take for granted, or maybe a little bit taking for granted that everybody completely, because like, you know, I could sit here and make arguments about it, like, you know, it's Galadriel. Everybody knows who Galadriel is. She's this legendary elf and things like that. So, and they're elves, so they have really good vision. So they're all probably seeing her at the same time because they can see from very far away and stuff, and they're like super, you know, they have their super senses and stuff. So like I can sit here and make all those arguments, but the thing is, like, the fact that I have to means they haven't communicated enough
what needs to be communicated, yeah.
of those things so that people don't have to do all those mental gymnastics while they're watching it, you know.
And
So
that's definitely one of the more minor issues I have with the episode, and it is something that I can easily just be like, it is what it is, you know. But it's just one of those things that did just kind of draw me out of the moment. And it's just like, really, like, we're doing this,
right,
you know. But it is what it is, and but this also just most of my issue with this episode just comes back to pacing and just like not understanding the time frame. Because, like, I mean, you gotta think Elrond also went and talked to Durin at one point during all of this siege, you know, then they went and got the army together, and then, like, all these things are happening. And but the way the show portrays it is it feels like it's happening in a day, and then a night, and then the next day. But I know that's not the case. Because there's no way it could be the case.
why?
With everything to have everything that had to have happened the way it did, there's no way that everything could happen in 2 days. With Elrond going to the dwarves, and then the one guy going to the dwarves, then coming back saying that they aren't coming, only for the dwarves to again show up again later on. Like, so many different things happening in the background that just, like, there has to have been a time frame, like, time going on, and the show just didn't do a good job of portraying that to us. Because you also gotta think, all this stuff is happening up in Eregion with Celebrimbor and the rings, and, like, it takes time to make the rings, more than just a day and a night, and...
Right. You know, yeah, I think, like, but doesn't he say, I mean, doesn't Elrond say to that one elf that's supposed to lead the dwarves to him that he doesn't say, like, at sunrise on the somethingth day? Doesn't he say, like, at sunrise? Like, as if it was going to be the next sunrise?
I don't remember. I'd have to go back and watch. But even that just seems like how far away is Durin from Eregion?
They make it seem like it's half a day's journey or something.
It's getting very close to the realm that The Last Jedi did, where they traveled through hyperspace to this planet that was supposed to be across the galaxy, and then all the way back within the span of like 2 hours.
Right.
Like a seeming to like not portraying proper. And once again, it's and I hate to do this, but it's kind of nitpicking, but it's stuff that draws me out of the show.
Right.
You know, not to say that the episode itself was not wholly bad. It had good stuff and it had some good action in it. You know, I really liked the stuff with Celebrimbor, and the Celebrimbor and Sauron stuff in this episode was these last 2 episodes was like some of the best TV I've seen in a while.
Yeah. No. I love everything with them. Trying to think, so as far as like what all happens with them in this episode.
That's just really Celebrimbor kind of determines that he's either in an illusion or that time is not moving properly, and he kind of starts to sniff stuff out. By the end of the episode, he's sniffed out that Sauron is who he is.
Oh yeah.
Sauron is Sauron.
No, he actually figures it out because he recognizes there's a loop. You know, he throws the hammer at Sauron, breaks the glass, and then he can hear the siege, and he runs out there. Oh man, like all that stuff is crazy too. Like he runs out, But by that point, everybody's turned against him. They think he's crazy.
Sauron's done such a good job of deceiving everybody, even to the point
Like
where
that came across really well.
that I do think that came across really well. And they that was something they set up so good, especially between Sauron and the one girl of like, you know, Celebrimbor is losing his mind. All this is happening. I'm in control now. I'm trying to do my best to help him and to help all this. Like they set that up so well for this scene to where Celebrimbor finally breaks free. Excuse me. And everyone's just like, oh, "You're just crazy, dude."
Yeah.
I mean, even man,
Yeah.
Sauron's masterful play of even using the moment with the girl. I mean, it also just shows how heartless he is, where they're on the wall and
I know.
makes it seem like Celebrimbor almost like tossed her off the wall, and you just see her crumble to the ground and just get butchered by an orc. I mean, that was a brutal scene.
Yeah, remember, like, just earlier, she's like, "We're not alone, you know, we're," and then she, like, takes his hand, and then he's like, "You'll be rewarded." And, like, there's just a part of me that knows that he's just, like, thinking about how he's gonna have her killed or something. It's, like, so dark.
Yeah, that was you really get to see the heartless nature of Sauron in that moment.
Yeah.
I feel like that's really when the facade drops fully too.
Yeah.
After that scene. Sorry, man.
He likes to say, "I've had many names." He doesn't like to acknowledge his name's Sauron. He just says, "I've had many names."
The entire time throughout all this, by the way, the entire season really, as Steph just continues to say, he was way hotter as a human. She's like, I don't like him as an elf. He needs to be human again.
He's appealing to the elves. But he, they get him back into the tower in this episode. And they have, I think don't they have a conversation in there about, or is it the next episode where Anatar is telling him, like, he's like gaslighting him and saying, like,
It's the next episode.
you're the, oh, okay.
You're
okay.
doing this you've done this to yourself.
Oh man, all that stuff is just so good.
Gaslighting is insane.
And yeah, Celebrimbor's like, you really are the deceiver. You can deceive even yourself.
There are some such good lines between Sauron and Celebrimbor in the last episode.
Oh yeah, I think that some of the best writing is those two. But yeah, so the other part of it is, which, you know, you already kind of mentioned, you know, that Elrond and Durin get to see each other again, and which was really good. Like I was really happy seeing them together again, because we didn't get to see them together the whole season. You know, they were such a strong, they had such strong chemistry in the first season, you know, together. So it was good to see them together, and to kind of, like, they're both at these really dire crossroads, you know, with Durin having having to overthrow his father, and then Elrond trying to save Eregion, and like absolutely essential that the dwarves show up. You know, and you know, so that just, man, that's another subversion of expectations thing that they do. You know,
With the dwarves don't show up.
Dwarves can't show up because. What do you think of that? How that, like, that explanation and how that went?
I mean,
How did you feel about that?
I kind of saw it coming, and I understood it. I still kind of, it was one of those things of just like, I get that Durin's having this moment with his dad and having to track him down, but at the same time, I'm like, you could still send the armies. I mean, he technically even did. He didn't even go with the army when they did go.
Yeah.
But that was something that didn't. I mean, I understood their reasoning. I got it, and it did kind of I honestly, for a minute, thought that the dwarves weren't going to show up at all. And even Steph was like, "Is this why there's so much animosity between elves and dwarves? Is this right here? Is
Yeah,
this what started it?"
My wife said the same thing after that episode. We watched it with our neighbor. They said the same thing. Like, I think a lot of people were thinking that after that episode.
But I did like that they showed up.
Oh, yeah.
I really liked the stuff with the dwarves in these 2 episodes, though. I've liked this battle between Durin and his father, the king. I think Durin has shown a lot of mature growth in this season. To the point where I like his scene in the episode 7 where he speaks to the entirety of Khazad-dûm.
Oh, yeah.
To get them all geared up to go to this war. I mean, he's really stepping up and being a leader, and trying to help not just the dwarves but everybody, knowing that the whole peoples of Middle Earth, knowing that it's important with Sauron. Which is another reason why it kind of was like a little, I mean, you can still send the armies even though you're dealing with your dad, but at the same time, it is what it is. But man, then you get to start the opening scene to episode 8 was awesome. Man, seeing that
iconic.
The interaction between Durin and his dad, and then seeing the freaking Balrog, and then just that end scene of the king taking the ring off and just jumping, yeeting himself axe first into this freaking Balrog was so. If that's not a redemption right there, I don't know what is.
I don't think I can imagine it any other way, because that Balrog is named Durin's Bane because it was the death of a King Durin. There's a time compression here, so it was like a later King Durin, but because this happens like a little bit into the Third Age actually in the books, but I love seeing it here. I think they are telling us that what happened with Durin, like how he went out and how he kind of caused that reaction with the Balrog, that it's gonna buy them time. Like it's sealed off that passageway. Maybe it even like knocked the Balrog out for 1,000 years.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know.
Yeah.
But I think that was what was being communicated there, and I'm fine with that.
Yeah.
But it was just that picture of like the axe cutting through the sword, and then like molten lava, and then it just causes this explosion. It was just looked amazing.
The special effects in that scene were top notch.
And the music and like the emotion of Durin, and then getting that just last little, getting his dad back for a minute, and it's the whole thing about, I wasn't letting you win whenever we would arm wrestle. That was you getting stronger.
The whole of the
was
season
so
finale had so many emotional moments.
Yeah,
that
a lot of emotional speeches.
Like really got me feeling, got the feels up. Steph legit cried during it, actually, during the episode. I can't remember when. I can't remember when exactly she cried. Oh, I think it was... I have to ask her. I can't remember.
Was it Poppy's speech? This Poppy's speech got me.
It might have been... Oh, it was all the Gandalf stuff.
Okay.
Which Gandalf confirmed. Grandalf. Grandalf. He said that and I was like, oh gosh, okay, yep.
It's like neon sign.
I'm about that though. I like that. I did like. We'll get into that. We'll probably talk about Gandalf at the end. But I liked all of his stuff in this episode. You know what else I really liked?
What's that?
Is Adar stuff. His moment in 7
season, and 8.
Yes, I liked him in 7 and 8. I didn't like another scene I just didn't like in number 7 was the whole having Elrond in the tent and then Elrond being like, "Can I say goodbye?" And
kissing
Galadriel.
Controversial.
I was like, this is stupid. Adar, being the smart man that he is, would not let this happen. This is dumb.
So that's the plot armor thing you were thinking of?
Yes, I was like, this is their way of getting Galadriel out, and I don't like it. I don't think it's earned.
Yeah, I don't know why they had to do it that way. I guess they wanted Elrond to do that because they have a close relationship.
But
they could have had Arondir do it.
I mean, they could have. I just feel like that no matter what they did in that scene, having Adara let one of the elves near her, I think ruins it.
Well, you know, but the thing is, he had his orc guy that was starting to get cold feet about. He said he's unarmed. Like, he kind of gave him the nod. So there's a little bit of that there where maybe he trusted his child or whatever to.
Yeah, but that even then is just like, I don't know. It's just.
Yeah, no, I can see what you're saying.
It just wasn't earned, in my opinion.
Yeah.
But either way, everything else though with that Adar, I really liked Adar. I really liked him in the last episode, especially when he has on Galadriel's ring. Turn around, he looks full elf. He looks healed.
I love that they went there with that.
And then they took it. You know, he takes it off, gives it to her, gives it back to Galadriel, says, "Help me defeat Sauron." I mean, just emotional. Oh, and then for him to just be betrayed by his children was just so heart-wrenching.
And he died the same way Sauron died. Mm-hmm. At the beginning of the season.
Yep. It was so sad. That the episode really culminated in showing Adar to be an actually good bad guy, because he wasn't truly bad. He genuinely wanted to protect his children by getting rid of Sauron.
Yeah. He wanted to, with as little wanton violence as possible. He wanted, security for his children and da-da-da-da-da. But I couldn't help thinking when I was looking at it, I was like, man, after everything, they're doing this to him. And I was like, well, they are orcs. Mm-hmm. What'd you expect? Mm-hmm. It's like, at the end of the day, they are orcs. They're severely broken.
Steph keeps saying this every time orcs come up and they're like doing their thing, like specifically when it comes to like battle. She's just like, I just love the orcs. They're just so ready just to do anything. They're just so happy to like look at them. They're just like cheer and get ready to go kill people. Like, they just have such a good time. Like, they're such a vibe. And I was like, interesting take, but I'm about it. Like, yeah, that works.
Yeah. No inhibition.
It's just so funny. But yeah, and then obviously episode 8 with Celebrimbor and Sauron, which we already mentioned, is just undefeated writing in the entirety of the 2 seasons so far.
Oh yeah.
Just like, you get this scene of at this point Celebrimbor has hidden the 9 rings. We know that he's given it to Galadriel, and she's kind of trying to escape. And Sauron's trying to basically torture it out of him, and he's just shooting these arrows into him. I mean, just another brutal scene of just this torture going on. But you see Celebrimbor has regained his sanity and his strength, and is just firing back with just words of wisdom.
Yeah. When he's got that mission, he knows he's got that mission. He knows that it's like, I need to buy as much time as possible. So it's good. I think that he's drawing strength, knowing that his suffering has a purpose. Yeah.
And then you get Sauron just grabs that pike and shoves it through his chest, lifts him up in the air, and you just get the final lines from Celebrimbor, his final words, and it's basically just him condemning Sauron to the Lord of the Ring trilogy.
Well, he goads him, because it's like Sauron's talking about how there's ways of like stretching this out, making this go on longer and stuff, and he calls he calls Sauron the Shadow of Morgoth.
Mm.
You know, which I liked because it's like Sauron doesn't want to be, you know, Sauron was somewhat a victim of Morgoth and a servant, but he wants to rise above Morgoth. He thinks of himself and his motives more pure and better and right, and which they nailed. They nailed Sauron's motivations, like that. They nailed the difference between Morgoth and Sauron. That's, you know, Sauron's like wants perfection. Morgoth just wants to corrupt and just thwart anything that's good. But, you know, whenever Celebrimbor just hits that nerve, Sauron can't help but just ram him through, you know, and kind of go too far with it. And then Celebrimbor gets like, even though Sauron's holding the spear, Celebrimbor is kind of victorious in that moment, which I think they just did such a good job with. I was happy to see it.
Truly.
I wanted him to get some dignity back, you know. He also Celebrimbor had a really good speech. There's a lot of good speeches in this episode. Celebrimbor had a really good speech when he saw Galadriel, you know, whenever she came and kind of like broke the spell a little bit on the soldiers that were, you know, confused or whatever about like who the Lord of Eregion was. And he tells her that it's not strength that defeats darkness, it's light. You know, it's like armies may rise and strength may fail, but, you know, light will keep shining and darkness will have to flee away from it. You know, and oh man, I just love so much of what Celebrimbor said there at the end.
Yeah, he definitely had a nice redemption this episode after everything that's happened.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, but then, I mean, really, at this point, what we got left is we have, you know, Sauron and Galadriel get their end of the season fight, which was enjoyable to watch. It was a good little fight. Sauron trying to get back into her head and get the rings from her and everything like that. I thought it was good. Thought it was enjoyable. I appreciated that she got her butt whooped.
For the most part, yeah.
But man, I'll tell you what I liked the most about that, and this scene kind of got me, was at the very end. You have, she's wounded, she's got the corruption going on, and Gilgalad, that's his name, right?
Gilgalad, yeah.
He's trying to heal her, and it's not he's not strong enough. And Elrond comes in and is just like, oh, we can together. And then he puts the ring on. You know, and then they heal. Just like Elrond taking that stand. He's been so against the ring since the beginning of the season, to now putting it on to help save Galadriel. I don't know. It's just such a good scene.
It was like that was an earned.
That was a very moment. That was an earned moment.
You know,
100%.
Because like it felt like you knew how he had been and how him and Galadriel's relationship had been kind of rocky, and then this whole thing happens and he puts aside his stubbornness, you know, because he's like, if this can do some good, let's do it. And I think it's good to have him come to this place now that they end up in the Hidden Valley. They're in what's going to become Rivendell now, which is going to be as they say at the end, protected by the Elven Rings. You know, so that sets him up to be able to eventually take a ring. You know.
Oh, he takes Gilgalad's, right?
Yeah, eventually Gilgalad will give it to him.
Yeah, I liked Elrond's growth by the end of the season. He really is starting to feel like the Elrond that we know from the movies.
Yeah. Yeah, it was good to see him in the, like, you know, doing battle too, because he is a good warrior, and so getting to see him like take revenge for the orc killing his horse, and you know, he had some good fighting stuff. I really enjoyed seeing Gilgalad fighting too, because Gilgalad was well known a well-known warrior. Like his spear,
The spear was cool.
yeah, was like a legendary. Like it had like a name. You know, it was like one of those weapons that had a name. And so that was cool to see him do that. Even though they were losing really bad when he was using it, but you know, overall, as far as like the Region stuff and the Celebrimbor stuff, and it was all very book accurate, except for, you know, it's just compressed timeline. You know, it's like, and that's part of the thing for me watching episode 7. I think maybe I gave a little bit more of a pass on some stuff because I knew it was going to be a loss. Like, a Region falls, the dwarves have to come save them. You know, Sauron gets the rings. Celebrimbor does his best to prevent him, but eventually he gets them. And but the elves get away, you know, and then you have the war of the elves and Sauron. So like all that stuff was right on book accurate. It's just about how it felt, you know, with the execution and stuff, some of it. But I think we need to come back to Numenor.
Yes. Just about to
Guess-
say that.
Couple iconic things there, I think.
I mean, I think the biggest thing for me was we freaking got to see a nice mirroring of the movies with Aragorn and Elendil with the sword, pulling it out the same way, looking at it the same way. Oh, it was beautiful. Beautifully
Yeah.
done.
I remember whenever that episode came out, that people were saying, you know, because the show has gotten knocked a little bit because of sometimes whenever it seems to be trying to mirror the movies, or it'll like lift the line straight out of the movies or something like that. But this episode does this stuff really well. Like when you see Narsil, you want him to do that.
Yes. Oh. Yeah,
You
which
know.
when I first saw the sword and she said it, I turned to Steph. I said, "Oh my gosh, it's the sword!" And then just
And it
watching
looked
him,
like it too.
it did. I mean, oh yeah, the way he pulled, it's seriously just the way he pulled it out. I mean, just so reminiscent of the mirroring of Aragorn pulling it out, the sword reforged. It was so cool to see.
Yeah. Yeah, it makes me I'm really excited for the Numenor stuff coming.
yeah.
I think Numenor should be pretty big next season. Like now that we don't have Celebrimbor and Anatar, Region is done. Rest in peace.
R.I.P.
You know. F's in chat, you know. But like so Numenor should kind of take Numenor, I mean, like there'll be the war with the elves and Sauron, but then Numenor should be like the other big plot line next season.
Yeah,
So-
I'm excited for the Numenor stuff.
Which I don't know what exactly they're gonna do. I don't know if they're gonna do like a full-on civil war or what, but
I hope so.
Be
I want to see
interesting.
the fake king get his butt whooped. He's so annoying. They all annoy me so much.
oh yeah, it's gonna be interesting to see what they do with him.
Oh gosh, don't. Oh boy.
He's a book character.
Oh, interesting.
So.
Interesting.
He's a pretty big book character, yeah.
Speaking of, real quick, complete sort of aside, but I was talking with Steph. The actor who plays Isildur, grow his hair out a little bit, make him a little scruffier. He'd make a good Kaladin.
Oh yeah, he could be.
I-
Man, if only they were doing that, like they were working on that now.
Yeah, I was because we were
'Cause
talking
he's-
about Stormlight characters and actors who would play good Stormlight characters, and I was like, you know what, Isildur, grow his hair out, make it a little scruffier. He'd make a real good Kaladin.
Yeah, it's true.
Anyway,
Should we talk about Isildur now, since we just
yeah,
did?
not much in these 2 episodes with him, but yeah.
No, he's not in 7. I don't think at all. But
Yeah.
in 8, he gets reunited with Kemen.
I was ready for him to just. Oh,
Yeah, we find out that Kemen is like converting. I'm really curious what they're gonna do with that because Kemen's like go cut down a bunch of trees for tribute. Like we just saw that wasn't a good idea.
Oh
like-
man, you're right. I didn't think about that.
Like, is there going to be a thing with Ents next season and like
That would be interesting.
Numenor? Yeah,
I want to see that kid get his head chopped off.
I do too.
He is.
You know,
ugh.
if he becomes the Mouth of Sauron, then he does get his head chopped off.
Is that a thing?
Well, people just like, this is like watching the show. You see characters, if they're not a named, like, really well-known character like Isildur or Elendil, then you're like, oh, does that character become Ringwraith, or does that character become Mouth of Sauron, or King of the Dead, or
I don't want to see him become anything. I want to see him just get his head chopped off.
I suspect he'll become something, but who knows? Maybe I'm wrong.
Probably, unfortunately. But yeah, then you get Isildur going to back to Numenor. It looks like.
Yeah, and doesn't get to take his side piece.
That was a little annoying. Like, she's married, bro.
That was so awkward.
It was so awkward. I felt so awkward watching that scene. I was like,
because she's like the husband, well, the betrothed is right there, and he just like walks over and stands next to them, and it's just like.
Just eyes
What is
Isildur.
happening?
I'm like, this is. I think I'm in high school right now.
It's like, what is happening? Yeah.
Very weird move. To not go anywhere
I'm very
either.
glad. It's a good thing she didn't come, because if she did, it would, like, Isildur needs to be able to, like whatever's going to happen next season, that doesn't need to be like the B plot. Isildur doesn't need to be, I have this low man girlfriend or whatever. I feel like that would weigh his character arc down for next season,
Yeah.
She'll be there when he gets back.
Ugh.
Maybe. But
What do you see? We finish off talking a little bit about Gandalf.
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 Yeah. So he makes the wrong choice? It was a test the whole time. Yeah, what do you think about, like, the way the Dark Wizard was talking and acting and stuff like that?
So it makes me sound like
interchange?
it makes it sound to me like he's another one of those wizards, like a blue wizard maybe or something like that.
Yeah, I'm thinking Blue Wizard maybe.
Very interesting. I'll be curious to see what they do with him in like the next season. I'm assuming Gandalf is going to do something about it maybe.
Right.
But it was I liked that scene. I thought it was interesting. We don't really get to see magic like that used very often in Lord of the Rings, so that was cool.
Yeah.
I really did. After all that, and then Nori leaves. They get this little conversation with Nori and all that, and then she leaves, and then you see Gandalf go over, or maybe it was before she left, go over and grab the staff. And I was like, oh, there it is. There it is.
Yeah, it just showed up in the rubble, which I like that it looks like super young,
Mm-hmm.
Like I was thinking about it, I was like, it makes sense because he's gonna have it for thousands of years. It should look pretty fresh.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I just really love that last scene with him and Tom Bombadil. Just feels like such a classic Tolkien kind of scene.
I loved that scene. It was so good.
He says he realizes what his name is going to be, and then Bombadil's like, now let the song begin. It's like kind of like now you're ready, or your work here in Middle Earth can begin now.
So
it's kind of cool.
It was yeah. And then ending off with the song. It was good.
Yeah. Overall, how do you feel about season 2?
I liked season 2 a lot. Really, the only episode I wasn't the biggest fan of was episode 7. And even then, it wasn't like bad. It's just some things that just kind of bothered me. But otherwise, I thought the show was great. I loved season. I think I liked the season 2 better than season 1.
Yeah.
Especially that last episode really just pulled it all together and just really, really made me like the show even more.
You know what I just thought about with that like final little speech with Celebrimbor and how he, you know, references like the future. It rhymes.
Does it?
Yeah. Well, because he says Lord of the Rings and blah blah blah. Well, I guess well, maybe that's not as much rhyming as it's just a call forward or foreshadowing.
Are you talking about like it rhymes?
Yeah, it rhymes.
Like it rhymes. Like everything rhymes.
It's like poetry.
Yeah, it's like poetry. It rhymes. Oh,
He says
boy.
one will destroy you and blah blah blah. Yeah. No, I loved it. I mean, I had high hopes for the plot line with the rings being created and everything, and Celebrimbor being a good character for, you know, like them being able to pull that off, and I think they really did.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, I think critically, like as far as reviews and stuff go, the show has been much better reviewed. Season 2 is much better reviewed than season 1.
Mm-hmm.
The Celebrimbor and Anatar stuff was the strongest stuff from, you know, what people felt, which I think is how it should have been.
Yeah.
You know, but yeah, I think they're moving forward in a good direction. They seem to be like getting better because the showrunners are kind of new a little bit at running shows,
Mm-hmm.
which is funny. That they have this project, but you know, I'm hoping that as the rest of the seasons unfold, that time will tell that they were the right people for the job. And
Yeah. I'm really excited for
Yeah,
season 3.
yeah, me too.
Steph is fully on board. She loved the season finale. She really liked this season. She was like, I can't wait for season 3 already. So
And I think it's gonna end up being the thing where it's gonna make us like love the movies even more.
Mm-hmm. This definitely
You
makes
know.
me the season finale made me want to go back and watch the movies. Do a rewatch of the movies here soon.
I mean, when you hear Aragorn yell Elendil, and he's in Fellowship when he's fighting, like you're gonna think of,
Mm-hmm.
like it's gonna mean something, you know, more than just, you know, this guy I saw for 2 minutes at the beginning of the movie. But yeah. Anyway, well,
I wonder what we'll be up to next episode.
oh yeah, we'll figure something out.
Finished with the Rings of Power. Gotta find something else now.
That's right.
Been a fun episode.
Yeah.
It's been a fun episode.
It has been.
It's glad to be back.
Yeah. Me too. Is there something we say?
I think there is.
I think we say this has been the Bridge of Two podcast.
A far, far
away bridge.